Christmas Day, and it is an amazing time of year for children to have presents and for it to already be over by the time I actually release the video. Isn't that lovely? But hey, if you don't celebrate it, at least celebrate the fact that this is the last 7 days of the year. The 25th basically being a week away from, the 1st of January. So you better start on those goddamn New Year resolutions. I know you haven't thought about them all month, maybe not even this year. Hey, you know what? Whatever. I don't care. Except for the fact that I made a promise to myself. A promise that was the opposite of a New Year's resolution. That being a New Year's end. So, what was I planning on doing? Well, it started with the 50 subscriber special and me talking about Alex Day. And I just wanted to end it right here on today because, well, what else was I supposed to do this holiday season? I have no clue. So, without any more introduction, without any special flair, let's get right into it. This is Alex Day Part 3, baby! Yeah! Except I can't. And you want to know why? Well, even though that I've done all of these, videos with the exact same, oh, I can't do it actually kind of joke. Why can't I do it this time? Well, it has to do something with this video in specific, this specific song. It's not as bad as the other Alex Day songs. And now with that, I'm going to go upstairs now and go to microphone transition because I can't do this.
Alright, let's get this over with. I have been talking about these songs completely out of order. Not from least to best, but in reverse album order. Yeah, I heard putting your best foot forward, but, this is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, why is this song not as horrible as the others? Well, it's mainly the subject matter. See, the Pokemon song and the Mario Kart song were horrible because, well, those two franchises were still highly regarded, and neither game series really sucked at the time. And yeah, you can make an argument for Pokemon nowadays, but not when these songs were written. Meanwhile, Sonic 06 was 3 years old when this song was written or released or whatever you actually want to put it as. Now, it is going to be exceedingly obvious that one thing that'll take a long time to talk about is the Sonic franchise. And since I am inevitably going to talk about this franchise again sometime in the future, I might as well let you know what I think about it. Sonic the Hedgehog is a franchise that rivaled Mario in the 90s and then has been on the decline ever since, with even the classic games not even being that great either. I will admit that the classic games look great in comparison to the Mario games on the NES, but essentially it was bullying Nintendo for having weaker hardware, while Sega had their own SNES with the Master System. I mean, the Genesis was basically just a competitor to the SNES before the SNES even existed. It's kind of like if Sony compared the PS Vita to the Game Boy Advance. You're telling me that older gaming technology is worse than newer tech? I must say, great job, Sega. One somewhat major problem with the Sonic franchise was just the general fall of Sega. After the Sega Genesis, Sega really couldn't recapture the success with the Saturn, so they kept the Genesis on life support with the 32X and Sega CD. Now, you know that one Sonic quote?
Sonic was never good.
No, not that one.
Sonic had a rough transition to 3D.
Yeah, that one. That was one I was talking about. Well, mostly people refer from Sonic 3 to Adventure 1 with that quote, but I'd argue it's every other game in between, like Sonic R, 3D Blast, Sonic Schoolhouse, obviously, and of course, the cancelled game Sonic Extreme. This caused Sega to be so late to the party that they essentially got murdered by both the N64 and the PS1, with Nintendo and Sony pretty much ready to also release the GameCube and the PS2. Oh yeah, and Microsoft was kind of there in the background, really ready to seal the deal on Sega making consoles and becoming a third-party developer. But hey, you know what? With console sales out of the equation, their games must be focused to hell. They put all their focus into the games. Right? No, there's no sugarcoating this. Sonic 06 should have been the end of the series.
It's no use! Take!
And so should have Secret Rings.
Move the Wii remote up and down to fly upwards.
I'll let you try and figure out how to do this. I'm so happy that I know how and you don't.
Is this how it does? Is this how you do it, actually?
Yeah, you gotta put vigor into it. Come on. Shake. Yes.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen!
And Wii U Rise of Lyric. And Forces. How Sonic survived all this crap really doesn't make any sense to me. And you know what? Speaking of which, there are only really 4 Sonic games I would actually consider, like, decent. Those being Sonic 2, Colors, Generations, and Mania. But here's the problem. Sonic Doesn't Need a Story, the song we're talking about today, released back in March 2010. So Sonic 2 was the only real game that I like to actually exist since Colors came out in November. Pickings for good games, according to me, were pretty slim. And both in and out of the fandom, the adventure games Heroes and Shadow are highly debatable if they're actually great games or flaming dog turds. The main point with this song is that Sonic does not need a story. And, well, compared to literally every other Alex Day song, it makes actually a lot of sense. I mean, look at Mario, Sonic's closest rival. Pretty much every Mario game has Bowser stealing the princess and Mario needing to travel to 8 worlds in order to save her and blah blah blah. But what makes the games feel different is that it keeps the basic idea of Bowser stealing her, but it expands on how he kidnaps her. And the games don't really have that much continuity between each other. Because, it would be weird if the same Bowser who conquered the entire galaxy also thought, bunnies could finally defeat Mario. And typically the plots do get way larger than Bowser stealing the princess in the RPG games. It's still there, just typically not a main focus. Unless, of course, your name it has new super or paper in it. Sonic has way too much sometimes when it comes to his plots. I mean, his original idea is good as is, industrialization versus nature. That's the whole theme with the first couple of games, excluding Sonic 3, but you get that probably. But please, try and concisely tell me without going into a Kingdom Hearts-esque rant on SA1. What is even happening in that game? And can someone also tell me what the hell even happens in Shadow the Hedgehog and why it takes 6 hours to 100% complete? And you know what? Not even that. Every single mainline Sonic game is connected in some way. But how do games like Sonic 1 and Sonic Unleashed and Lost World all fit together in the same world? The short answer is that they don't. This isn't even including the small inconsistencies, like the moon after being pissed on, and Gun existing for an alien invasion, and then not really giving a shit when the planet it breaks apart and Unleashed, or Eggman taking over in Forces. In fact, you know what? Humans look incredibly inconsistent in this entire series. Sonic Adventure 1, to Shadow, to My Nightmares, to even Unleashed. Partly, that's why Colors was so good, because of its simple plot that felt like an appropriate step, and it kind of reminds me of something like Sonic CD. Basically, Egg Boy captures friendly aliens to exploit their energy, and the furry squad need to help him. Notice how we didn't need the ancient Echidna tribes with a water leviathan or 19,000 different perspectives on the same story, or Sonic turning into King Arthur to make a story that actually fits in with the frickin' franchise. And while I do suck Colors' dick maybe a little too often, I do hate the cutscenes because it ruins the semi-serious tone the other games work so hard at building.
Baldy nose hair!
Oh yeah, and how could I forget that the games are poorly made? How could I forget? Pretty much every single mainline Sonic game, from Sonic Adventure 1 to 06, were just not good, not really. Especially because they look so ugly, they have glitches out the ass, and are just not that well made. And hell, even some games nowadays are not really well made. Like Colors Ultimate, for instance. Like, to be fair, I do like Colors Ultimate. I mean, if you're in my position who doesn't give a shit about buying a Wii capture card, or just want to revisit Colors with achievements, then it's actually pretty decent. But for a port of a Wii game, it really fucking sucks. And again, I do admit that the Switch version was probably the reason unto why a lot of the people hate this game, but it still didn't do that much better. And people like Radical Soda, while I do think go a little far, I also think that he also makes sense. It shouldn't be something that we're celebrating, alright? So, after basically complaining about literally everything involving Sonic, what would I do to fix the franchise if I'm so fucking smart? Well, I think honestly, at this point, the games are holding him back. You know, like a ball and chain. Most of the other media surrounding Sonic is actually regarded pretty highly, such as Sat AM, Sonic X, and even the TV Sonic Boom. Even the ones like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Underground has their fans. The comics are also enjoyed by a large majority of the fan base, outside of the Ken Pender shit. And lastly, the movies are okay, I guess. They're fine. The first movie was incredibly generic. It's about Sonic leaving the world that we're accustomed to and are eager to see on film, but then he just goes to our boring world and teams up with Mr. Generic Guy from the series villain. And at the end of the movie, the supposed main character fights the series villain while Mr. Generic Guy gets the girl in the end. This is literally point for point the plot of the first fucking Smurfs movie. Alright, but hey, you know what? Just like the classic games, Sonic 2 is better than the first. So basically, take the video game out of the video game character, and I'm pretty sure things would run over a little bit more smoothly. So yeah, in short, Sonic dumb, Sega dumb, and I'm dumb for buying his games. But hey, you know what? Let's fucking shut up about Sonic, and let's talk about the entire reason why we're all even here in the first place. Alex Day's Sonic Doesn't Need a Story. So, basically, here are my complaints. My first and immediate complaint when it comes to this song is something I kind of mentioned in the Pokemon and Mario Kart songs. It starts way too long into the actual thing. Now, I understand having the instrumentals of a song play for like the first 5-10 seconds of a song, but it takes 40 seconds for the song to actually start. And not only that, the instrumentals are chiptune, so it gets obnoxious real fast, especially to people who's actually played video games, because, you know, when I'm playing fucking Final Fantasy Crisis Core, obviously, the game sounds like blip, 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 obviously. And since this song is 4 minutes long, it is almost a fourth of the total run time of the song. Another problem I have with it is when he talks about characters that are annoying to him, but then he just lists a bunch of classic characters, including the Chaotix, and for some reason he talks about flickies. For those who don't know, those are just the generic birds in the series. Huh? Thirdly, the last 90 seconds is kind of like the Mario Kart song, repeating the same fucking nonsense instead of just having the song end, like in the Pokemon song. And my last complaint is, well, anyone who says that they don't like Rouge the Bad is a psychopath. But yeah, really, outside of those 4 things, that's it. It's a genuine improvement against the Mario Kart and Pokemon songs. Hell, I'll even give him a pass when he's talking about the classic characters, because more likely than not, he's talking about the modern equivalent, which, considering people like Charmy B, is a really smart move. It's definitely also the best sounding Alex Day song as well, especially out of this entire album. I mean, yeah, the first 40 seconds are obnoxious, and the last 90 are just nothing, but it's also pretty good. One discovery that I made while writing this video is that the ending of this song and the start of the Mario Kart song is actually very seamless, and it is actually incredibly well done. Here, have a listen. Well, that was disappointing. I mean, I know I said I had really nothing to say about it, but yeah, that was really it. But now that we're done talking about it, and we're done talking about Sonic and all that shit, let's talk about one last thing before we leave Alex Day in the dust for the rest of my life. Now, I made a spreadsheet for no particular reason. That's typically why I do that. Anytime I make a PowerPoint or a spreadsheet in any of my videos, it's obviously for no reason. Now, as you can see, these songs are basically all the exact same. You know, you have Alex Day basically complaining about a video game franchise. It's not really as good as it used to be or whatever. But I have to ask this question. What the hell does the title of this album even mean? I know this is the third Alex Day video, and I really should stop asking Alex to make sense in any sort of context, but this is really the most confusing part of the entire album. You know this image that I had in the last two videos about Alex's merch or whatever? Yeah, well, this is a better name than 117% complete. It's just way too specific. In fact, it is so specific that it actually does relate to a certain video game, Spyro 3, which makes me wonder if there was a song about Spyro, and even if it was a positive song, to shake anything up, because by God, this album need at least one positive song, alright? And for you all obnoxious classic Spyro fans, Skylanders released in October 2011, so it can't be a negative song talking about Skylanders murdering Spyro, which it didn't. But hey, you know what? We'll never know, unless somehow I get an interview with Alex Day. But yeah, that's probably never gonna happen. So, yeah, that's it. Not really much else to say. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Prepare for the next Alex Day song, Alex Day Part 4. No, I'm not fucking talking about him ever again for the rest of my life. I'd rather do a 9-part, 30-hour-long documentary onto why Mario Galaxy 2 sucks dick than make another Alex Day video. Because, well, I don't really care for his style of music. This album was pretty much the only reason why I'm even here. And, well, I guess in conclusion, this album is one of the worst things I have ever bought or listened to. And you know what? That really is an accomplishment. I own the Dumb Ways to Die Annoying Orange parody, and it's still not as bad as Pokemon What Happened to You. I own a goddamn song by Zombie George Washington, and it's still not as horrifying as I Hate Mario Kart Wii. And you know what I'd rather watch than this entire shitty album?
All the single furries, all the single furries, all the single furries, all the single furries.
Yes, I'm not even kidding with that. At least with that garbage, I can cringe at it without needing to go on long-form rants. Okay. Let's calm down, and let's just end it right here. So, with all that being said, and with me being serious, thank you all for watching the Alex Day trilogy and all of my videos to the very end. It feels nice to have this entire album off of my chest and to never think about Alex Day for the rest of my life. I have everything on the internet. I can make as many copies of this video I want. I feel fantastic after talking about Alex Day for the final time, and even getting my opinion out there about Sonic. Well, have a happy last 7 days of 2022, and I'll see you all next year when I have more things and stuff to talk about. Unless I inexplicably die, and I swear to God, I need to do a couple cup compilations, and I also probably need to talk about something not video game related for once in my life. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. Peace.
'Cause Sonic doesn't need a story. He runs fast and gets rings and loop-de-loops his way into your heart. Sega, learn from your mistakes. Now it's time to sit down and leave out the cutscenes. 'Cause we don't eat anymore. We don't eat anymore. We don't eat anymore 'cause my dad is broke.